Wow, beautiful sunshine, but it's actually quite misleading.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thought.
Hey everyone out there in that big, beautiful green and blue ball that we call Earth. This is Ian here in beautiful Beijing. And in Beijing is actually getting colder by the day as we head into the winter. In fact, I believe if you look at the lunar months, we are actually in the winter, although it's very, very warm at this moment in time. However, as we go into the winter, it is very cold here in Beijing, and it's time to wrap up warm and add a layer or two, and also in Beijing to turn on the central heating system. And that is the topic for today, because the Beijing central heating system is about to be turned on, and I received a letter from my landlord to say that I'm part of the test process. Let me just share that with you now. So let me try and explain this, the difference between Beijing and the UK and the heating systems that we both use. What is really interesting, and it is something that I was aware of before, but only now because of the situation with the cost of energy in the UK, is how the energy or the heating system works here in Beijing. But first, I want to touch on the heating or the energy market back in the UK, because it has been such a contentious issue, I think, the best way to describe it. And I know a lot of people back home are struggling to heat their homes because of the rising costs. And I don't think it should be like this. I am sure there's a lot of price fixing and profit making at the expense of the British people, but do your own research. I'm not fully knowledgeable on the subject of the energy markets in the UK, so if anyone has anything they can add, then please put your words in the comments section below. But my take on it is that the UK energy market has been a disaster waiting to happen. So the price of electricity in the market is set by the highest priced method of power generation, which currently is gas. So with the price of gas going bonkers for various reasons, then that is the price that is used to charge for all types of power and energy in the UK energy market. So as an example, if you generate all your electricity via, say, cheaper to produce wind power, then your company is making a fortune. But the customer is taking a massive hit because they're still paying the cost per unit based on the highest way to produce it, which is gas, currently super sky high price. So this is frustrating for consumers and will cause real harm for the people in the UK. It's also a tougher pill to swallow for the Scottish people, because energy in Scotland is reserved to the UK government. So Scottish government cannot do much about the cost. Scotland generates less than 10% of its energy from gas, and often maybe less if anything at all. Most of Scotland's energy is wind, hydro and nuclear. England, however, they went for the dash for the gas powered electricity to replace coal. So 40% of their electricity is generated by gas. Now, I understand why they did that, because people want to get away from fossil fuels. But a note here, as Scotland is the same energy market system as England, then Scotland ends up paying the same as England, in fact subsidising England's electricity. Believe it or not, look it up. The cost per energy unit in the UK is currently about 35 pence per kilowatt, which is twice what it was last year. Last year it was about 16 pence. If the government hadn't capped it, then it would be about 55 pence, if not more. So in a way, the government capping it is a good thing, although very costly to the taxpayer, unless they get some money back in to offset that. I'll come back to that. So I'm going to change the location because that's a noisy area there, but the energy providers are making huge profits. Again, look it up, the information's there. So maybe it is time to ask for a windfall tax, which I think is a great name for it. We should have a windfall tax and get some money back for the taxpayer. So the Beijing heating system is provided differently from the UK, and it's also charged differently. Again, I am no expert, I'm just stating some conversation and then sharing what I know. So if you've got anything to add, put it in the box below and I'll respond to the comments. So please interact. The Beijing city heating system uses both gas and electricity, and this is generated using many different methods, and on the whole it's coal. However, China is very advanced in using different ways to produce power, but it still has a way to go before it removes fossil fuels altogether. The Beijing heating season, and it is a season, usually starts from November the 15th to March the 15th, but in some places like my apartment it's switched on early to check for some leaks. The switch on means the increase in production from the power stations, and that usually starts at the beginning of the month. You can see that, the power stations being switched on. When the heating is turned on, it means that the buildings across Beijing can now get access to heating. So if you're in a factory, apartment, office or whatever, you switch on your heating, then lo and behold, you have heat, just like that. A note here, some of the more modern buildings will have other ways to heat or provide things like air conditioning out of the season, just like you would if it was your own home. So when I looked into the cost of the heating and how it was charged here, I found that it was calculated differently from, say, the UK and some places in the West. There is a difference also in how the cost is supported or subsidised in order to support the people and how they pay for that charge. So, charging for heating in Beijing is based on the size of your home in square metres. The charge for the majority of Beijing residents will be about 24 Chinese yuan per square metre. So that's about £2.85 per square metre for the season. So it's important that you remember this idea of paying for the season. So to simplify that, if you had an apartment of 100 square metres, then that would be 100 times £2.85, which is £285 for the season. The season being November to March. For suburban areas outside or on the edge of the city, they would be charged at a higher rate. They would be charged roughly 43 yuan per square metre per season. That's about £5 per square metre. Businesses in the city, they will be charged 45 yuan per square metre per season. So that's about £5.35 per square metre for the season. Besides the fuel gas heating system, some of the houses actually also use electricity heating. Electric heating is a little bit higher per square metre. Not a lot, but it's a little bit higher. Heating is usually paid in advance. So you pay to consume it. You typically pay in October or November. The standard temperature in homes and offices is regulated at 18 degrees Celsius during the heating season. I believe you can put it up or down. There is support for people and it's provided in many ways. Not all residents have to pay for the heating. Many residents get some form of support or price deduction. If, for instance, you're a teacher, professor, or you work in a state-owned company, such as a hospital, or if you're a high contributor to society, or if you're in the army, the public services, such as police, then you will be reimbursed. Also, in many cases, the company that you work for, they also contribute by giving you a winter allowance, so they will give you a winter payment, and that helps you manage the cost of that heating. Now, I am sure I am missing some points here, and I apologise if I am. Put anything in the box below. The thing here to note is the differences, and above all else, as a message from me here in Beijing, is to look after each other. Check in on your neighbours, especially the elderly, and I hope this information is maybe give you some insight into Beijing. Anyway, this is Ian, as usual, bidding you farewell. Catch you in the next video. Peace out.
yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative